Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of the Bobbles Berries Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Ode and I'm coming to you from Edinburgh in Scotland. I've got quite a packed episode today, lots of whips, lots of finished objects, a few acquisitions as well that I would like to show you, and I'm really excited about all of it. I'm having a lot of fun with my knitting lately and I can't wait to share it all with you. But before we start, I have a few admin bits that I would like to just get out of the way and then we can get into the knitting. The first one is that I released a few weeks ago a new stitch marker set. It's called Spring Bulbs and I released it with my last shop update, which was at the start of March. And I'll put a picture on the screen because it's easier for me to show you with a picture rather than trying to show you like really tiny stitch markers on the screen or like on the camera. But yeah, so that was a new release. I think it was the first new release of this year. It was quite a success. You guys seem to really love it. And it will be available in my shop from now on. The shop is currently empty because I'm doing shop updates this year just to be able to manage my workload basically. But those stitch markers, as well as all the other stitch markers, will be available in my next shop update. I am aiming to have this on Sunday, the 6th of April. I'm just waiting for a few things to be able to decide on a time. But once I do, I will post it over on Instagram and I will also send out a newsletter. So if you want to receive this information in your mailbox, please sign up to the newsletter. I'll put a QR code on the screen. And yeah, I wish I could give you an exact time, but I'm still figuring things out. So yeah. The other bit of admin, I just have my notes to the side, which is why I'm looking to the side, is that I'm very excited to now be an affiliate member of the Woolly Thistle, which is a yarn shop, a brick and mortar shop, as well as an online shop located in America, in the US, in New Hampshire to be exact. And what that means for me to be an affiliate, it simply means that I have a link that I will leave in the description box below. And if you decide to shop at the Woolly Thistle and use my link, then I will get a small commission on what you order. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You just pay whatever you have to pay for the yarn that you want to order, but I get a small commission. And the reason why I'm really excited to be doing this with the Woolly Thistle is because of the kinds of yarn that they stock. So basically their whole thing is about really nice rustic woolly wools, which if you've been here a while, you know that this is all the kind of wool that I love and pretty much all that I knit with. And the other thing that I really love about the Woolly Thistle is that they do stock a lot of British brands, Scandi brands, Icelandic wools, which again are a lot of the wools that I enjoy using. And I know a lot of you watching are from North America and the US, and that sadly a lot of the wools that I like to use are not easily available to you. And but the Woolly Thistle does stock a lot of them, or you can easily find equivalent to what I use in that shop. So yeah, that's why I'm really excited to be doing this with them and to be recommending that store to you, because for those of you who are in America but are interested in the kinds of wool that I'm using and would potentially want to try those wools for yourselves, you can find a lot of those at the Woolly Thistle, and it's then like you're buying from within the US and you don't have to buy it from abroad and you don't have to pay shipping and taxes and all of this. So yes, I am an affiliate member of the Woolly Thistle. I will have my link in the description box below. Once again, it's if you want to shop with them because they have the wool that you want. And what that means is that at no extra cost to you, I get a small commission whenever you place an order there. So yeah, it's just use the link if you like, don't use it if you don't want to, that's completely fine, but I'm just sharing this information with you. And finally, last little bit of admin is that I will be at the Woolly Good Gathering, which is a really, really nice wool festival in Edinburgh. It's on the 4th and the 5th of April, so as of like in about 10 days from me recording this. And I won't be there as a vendor, but if you are going there and looking for some of my stitch markers, then Ginger Twist Studio, who's my local yarn shop, they will be vending at the festival and they will have some of my stitch markers, but I will be there purely as a visitor to just explore, hang out, look at all the beautiful yarn, meet my friends, have a good time. And yes, so if you are there then and you see me, then please come and say hello. Obviously, I don't know you, so I wouldn't be able to recognize you and come and say hello to you, but you would recognize me. And so, yeah, if you feel like it, please come and say hello. It would be lovely to meet you. So I'm really excited for this festival. I had a wonderful time there last year, and I've got lots of friends traveling from all sorts of places coming to this festival that I'm really looking forward to spending some time with. So yeah, it's going to be an intense weekend of socializing, but it's going to be a very fun weekend. So yes. All right, that's it for all the admin stuff. We're done. Let's move into the knitting. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing, and this is my Dropp pullover by Ailbiona and McLochlainn. I knit this a while ago, at least 2 years, I would say, maybe more. And I've been wearing it a ton, especially this winter, especially now it's warming up a little bit. And it's not the thickest sweater, but it is wool, and so it is quite warm and it's perfect right now. I knitted this in, I think it was 2 strands of woolly knit, 100% British wool on the cone, in the dark blue. It's probably called navy, because that's usually the name that color is given, but the dark blue. And then 1 strand of a lace yarn it was hand dyed by Zakami. And I think it's a mix. It's not a fluffy lace, it's a regular lace, and I think it's a mix of alpaca and silk. I don't think they do that base anymore, but you could find other dyers or other companies who do similar yarn. So yeah, it was one of my first garments, I think, and so the fit is not really what the pattern calls for. I think it's supposed to be more oversized than it is, but it fits me in a way that I like, so I don't have a problem with that. So yeah. All right, so moving on to finished objects. I have 4, and all of them are accessories. And I'm going to start with one that you have seen many times on this podcast, and that is finally finished, and that is my Autumn Tales shawl by Ozetta. So here it is. So I think I cast this on in, I can see it on my Ravelry actually, at the end of August, and I finished it at the end of February. And this kind of item does not take that long to knit, or does not need to. The reason why it took me that long is that I just kept being distracted by other projects. That's the only reason. But I finally finished it, and I'm so happy to be done with it. I'm going to try and show it to you. I'll put pictures, but I'm going to try and show it to you. It's just really big, so it's a bit hard on the camera, but it's a bit in shape. It's a little bit like a Sophie scarf, if you want. It's not the same edging or anything, but it's that kind of long scarf that tapers at both ends, and it's the garter stitch. And then what I really like is that it's got this really nice border that you do at the end with a crochet hook, and it's like a braid. I guess you can, here you can see it well. And yeah, it's very lovely. I think it's the identifying feature of that particular shawl, I guess. And it is really, really lovely, and I like it a lot. The yarn that I used for this, so the pattern recommends using unspun yarn. I believe the pattern recommends using Plotulopi. I decided to use the unspun yarn by Hillesvåg that I did find in one store in the UK stocks it. So I think it's called Knit with Attitude. And so I was really happy to find it there. I just bought like a really big cake, which was about 225 grams or something like that. And I didn't strictly follow the pattern. What I did is that I did the increases and then knit straight until I'd used half of my yarn, and then did the other half with the other half of the yarn that I had left. Sorry. And yeah, the only thing was that I wasn't really sure how much yarn, because it's unspun and it wasn't the same unspun or any of that, I wasn't really sure how much yarn I would need for the border. But I had some other grey unspun left in my stash. This is from Ulysse wool. I've had it for a while, I've used it for other things, and it's not exactly the same grey, but I think they're close enough. I don't even know if you can tell the difference on the camera. Maybe not. And so my idea is that I would knit with the Hillesvåg unspun, do the body of the scarf, and then the edging I would do with the Ulysse wool unspun. And in the end, that's what I did, because I was a bit cautious when I was weighing my yarn and trying to get to the middle point. I ended up having some of the Hillesvåg left over. I still have a really tiny bit. And so for the edging, you're supposed to do with like 3 or 4 strands, I think, of unspun. And so what I did is that I used 2 strands of the Ulysse wool one, and then 1 strand of the Hillesvåg held together, and that way that helped blend the greys together as well, and it worked really well. I guess I know that it's not the same yarn, but honestly, if you don't, let me see, can I show you? If you don't know, I don't think you can really tell that it's not the same, like exactly the same yarn or the same color. So yeah, I don't really have much more to say about this. I knit this on 4.5 millimeters, but I don't remember I think that's what the pattern asked for. I think my gauge is a bit off, but it's a scarf, so it doesn't really matter. I'm very happy with the length of it. Yeah, it's great. And I really love this color. I have been looking for a nice light, like pearl light gray scarf to have and to be able to wear with most of my accessories, my hats, my mittens, because those tend to be brighter colors or different colors, but I feel like gray just goes with everything. So yeah, that's kind of the idea of what I was trying to do. So, and I'm very pleased with what I did, and it's working just fine. So yeah, all good, all happy. My second finished object is a pair of mittens. I'm just going to show them to you. I think they were a whip in my last episode. And yeah, so they are the Celeste mittens by Petite, and they are designed to use up the leftovers of a Celeste sweater. And so this is exactly what I did. I think I was wearing my Celeste sweater in like 1 episode or 2 episodes ago. And those are exactly the colors that I used in that sweater. And so I did the mittens. I guess I need mittens, I can use mittens, but the main reason why I did that is, why I knitted those, is to use up my leftovers, really. But yeah, so like I said, those are the Celeste mittens by Petite. I did the size medium, and they fit fine. I find that, I think like I have quite narrow hands but long fingers, so sizing sometimes is a bit strange for mittens, but I just did the size medium and it worked well. Let me see if I can put one on to show you. Yeah. So yeah, it looks good. I feel like the light is quite bright and it's blowing up a bit, but oh, there you can see it nicely. Yeah, my fingers are here at the top. I was a bit worried about these details, like that they would point out too much, but I actually don't mind. And yeah, so again, so the Celeste mittens by Petite. Not much to say about the pattern. It's very easy, very clear. Yeah, no big issues with that. It's also just like the Celeste sweater. You don't have, even though you have loads of colors, you don't have more than 2 colors per row. So it's only 2 color work. You don't have 3 colors or more on the same row. The yarns that I used, I will have them listed on my Ravelry project page, but all of them are Pure Gint by Scentless Garn. The beige one is the shade Almond, and I know that because I've used it a lot, and the others, I don't remember them off the top of my head, and also their numbers, so it just seems a bit silly for me to just like rattle numbers at you. So just go ahead and check out my project page if you want to know the details, and if you can't access Ravelry, then just please leave a comment and I'll reply to you in writing. It will be much easier. I didn't swatch for them because I couldn't be bothered, but they still fit fine. And yeah, so again, I have my notes to the side. One modification that I made is that so you start at the cuff and you're supposed to do an Italian cast on. I couldn't be bothered, honestly. I really couldn't. So I just did a regular long tail cast on, and it works fine. I'm pleased with it. Yeah. It's just like I do on socks, or did I do a long tail? I think probably more like a German twisted cast on, but yeah, it's just fine. And what I did, because I changed the cast on, is that when you do an Italian cast on, you cast on your stitches and then you do 2 rows of double knitting flat, and then you join in the round and you keep knitting. So that means that before you have those extra rows. So because I did a German twisted cast on, then I knitted 2 extra rows in addition to what the pattern recommends, just to make up for the 2 rows that would have gone with the Italian cast on. I hope that makes sense. And another thing, so I knitted those on Magic Loop. I find that it's easier. I do enjoy using small circulars, and that's what I use for my socks. But I always find that for mittens, it's a bit trickier because there's less stitches usually. And so it's just that it pulls and it's not very pleasant. So I did this on Magic Loop. Magic Loop is not my favorite way to knit, but I will do it when it's necessary. Color work on Magic Loop, that was my first time, and that's not fun. I don't like it. I feel like the joints, especially like in color work, it's just like they're not. Also, that's the start of the row, so it's not start of round, so that's not even nice. Okay, so this one is when like the motif is supposed to be nice and smooth because it's not the start of the round. And I mean, it's fine, but yeah, blocking helped a lot, and it wasn't really fun to knit. I didn't really enjoy it. I know a lot of sailboat mittens and Norwegian mittens, usually on the sides of the hand, you have like 2 or 3 stitches of 1x1 color work. So I think that's really nice, because even if you're using Magic Loop, because it's just 1 stitch, you can keep the tension quite even. But here in some cases, there was like 3 or 4 stitches right around the joint, and it was just, yeah, it's fine, it works. I'm not being very precious about these mittens or anything, but in terms of my experience knitting it, like not my favorite. If I can do color work in the round in another way, then I will, and I will only use Magic Loop as like a last recourse or something. But yeah. Another thing is that so you knit the whole mitten, and then you have like a scrap yarn for the thumb, kind of when you do, the same as when you do an afterthought heel. I'd never done this before because I don't do afterthought heels. It's just like my heel flap and gusset basically. So I haven't really tried any other kind of heel. So it was my first time doing, like you insert a bit of yarn and then you keep knitting, and then you go back and you remove the yarn to create that hole, and then you knit the thumb. So it was the first time for me, but it was very easy and it worked really well. And yeah, so if you've never done this either before and you're a bit, I don't know, scared or concerned or whatever, don't be. It's fine. It's not difficult at all, especially if you use a bit of scrap yarn that is a very different color from your project. Then it's going to make it really easy to pick up your stitches, and then it'll be good to go. So yes, I feel like I say so yes all the time. But yes, this is all I have to say about my Celeste mittens. I finished them. I was knitting on them when I was in France, so just after I recorded my last podcast. I think I did most of it in France and then finished it when I got back. It's a really quick knit. It's on, what needles did I use? I think the main color work bit is 4mm, so it does knit up quite quickly, but it hasn't been that cold since I finished them, so I haven't really worn them that much, but I'm very pleased to have them for next year. And then I have, you may remember from a few episodes ago, I have, what is it called? The Midland Neck it's like a dicky kind of thing by Laura Penrose, in the same almond shade, so they would go really well together. And then I also made a headband, which I'm going to show you right now, which is also a finished object for this episode, in the same almond colors. So all three together will make a really nice set, which I'm really excited to wear. But next year now, I think we still have some cool days, but it's definitely spring and it's definitely too warm to wear all of this. But yeah, so that's a very smooth transition to my third finished object, which is the weekend headband. Just like for the mittens, this was a project purely to use up scrap yarn and to finish up some leftovers that I had. This is by Petite once again. I made the size small. With my head circumference, I was in between small and medium. But because it's ribbing, I decided to just go for small and figured that it would stretch out, and it does. So it works right well. This is just a 1x1 headband. You knit, so I think you start on a provisional cast on, I believe. And then you just knit a long tube, and then you Kitchener stitch your last row to your first row. And that's that. You do have a little bit of, you have a few rows here. I don't know if you can tell, it's not the most visible, but here and here to a few rows of double knitting, which helps it fold nicely. I don't know if it's strictly necessary, but I did them and I'm happy with that. And yeah, the same yarn, like I said, the yarn, I mean, that's the same as the one that I used for the mittens. It's the Peer Gynt in the shade, Setnisgard Peer Gynt in the shade Almond. And I don't think I have any more left, which is good because I was trying to use up leftovers. I used 65 grams for that, if that's of any interest to you. I really followed the pattern completely blindly. I also cast this on just before going to France in February to visit my family. And I honestly knit like 3/4 of it on the plane to France and then finished up the rest of it later. It's also a very, very quick pattern. I didn't really have any expectations for this pattern. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to make a headband and use my leftovers and that'll be fine. But I actually really, really love it. I really love it. It's one of my favorite headbands. I don't know if I can... It's going to mess up my hair. But yeah, I like that it's very wide. I like that it's very wide. Ooh, the hair. And it's very warm and it doesn't ride up, because I often have an issue with headbands where if I just put them on over my hair and leave my hair down, they're kind of, over time, they're gonna kind of ride up, you know? So usually I do, when it's headbands that you knit as like a long piece and then like bring the two short ends together, I will do a twist because that helps it stay in place. And I will often wear my headbands when I have my hair up in a ponytail or a braid or something. And so that kind of helps it stay in place. And then when I have my hair down, I will wear a hat. But this one, I think because it's larger, or wider, it does stay on my head really well. It's incredibly warm because it's double layer, and obviously that also depends on the yarn that you use, but Peer Gynt is really warm. And it is on my head, on my forehead, and I don't have any problem like in terms of it being itchy. I know some people find Peer Gynt very rustic and very itchy and prefer to use it for outerwear. I am fine having it next to skin. With the mittens, I don't have any problem of them itching on my wrist, which I could see, especially here, could be a bit of a sensitive part of the body. And my Celeste sweater, which has a mock turtleneck and my midland neck, which has a fully like rolled turtleneck. I have peer gynt right against my neck, and again, I don't have a problem, but obviously this is all personal preference and everybody tolerates yarn in a different way, so yeah. But yeah, I really love this project. It doesn't use up a lot of yarn, and I could definitely see myself make more just to use up bits of yarn that I have, or you know, like you have the one skein, you don't really know what to do with it. Like you could definitely do something like that. And yeah, I love the fit of it. I love how quick it is. And yeah, I can definitely see myself making more of these in the future. I also like it on a day when it's not like super cold, but still a bit cold, because it keeps my ears warm, but the top of my head is exposed, kind of, as opposed to a hat which would keep my ears warm, but also like the top of my head warm, and then I could maybe overheat if it's a bit too hot outside. So yes, that is all I have to say about my weekend headband. My fourth and last finished object is also a head accessory, but it's not for me, it's for a tiny baby. One of my friends, so there's going to be a lot of, not a lot, but there's going to be baby knits regularly over the rest of the year probably, and more, because two of my close friends and my sister are pregnant and all due in like, one is due in 2 weeks, one is due in June, one is due in August. So there's going to be some gift knits and baby knits and things like that. And so for my friend who's due in a couple of weeks, I've already started knitting a few little things, including, beginning with and including this really cute little hat. I feel like the light is really bright and blowing out, so I'm going to close the curtain and see if it diffuses it a bit so you can actually see the colors much better. All right, I don't know if that makes a difference, but hopefully a little bit. So yeah, so this is this tiny hat that I've made. It still needs to be blocked. This is the, let me check my notes so I give you all the right information. This is the Barley Hat DK by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern. You can find it on Ravelry, and you can also find it on their website. And I believe now Tin Can Knit also has an app where they have all their patterns and everything, which I think is brilliant. But I just bought it from Ravelry. I use Knit Companion, where I have all my patterns, and that's what I use. I don't print out my pattern or anything. So instead of downloading yet another app, I decided to do it through Ravelry. But yeah, it doesn't matter. You just do however you want to. But yeah, it is a free pattern. It still needs blocking. I did the size newborn, although it seems a bit big maybe for a newborn. I don't really know. It's been a while since there's been tiny babies in my life, so I don't really have a good sense. The Barley Hat has a section of garter stitch, but I took that out because I don't really like the look of it personally, and I'd cast this on to knit, to have something to knit on at the cinema, and so I just wanted some stock in it, basically some mindless stock in it. What is funny though is that I did the ribbing before going to the cinema just to get me started, and then I was like, oh, that's fine, I'm gonna have like stuff to knit, it's gonna be super easy. I went to see Bridget Jones, which was really good, the last Bridget Jones, which I really enjoyed, and it was maybe a couple hours long, and I basically knit the straight part in like less than an hour, and then I couldn't really do the decreases because it was dark, I couldn't see anything, I wasn't gonna turn on my phone to look at the pattern or anything like that, so I just had to stop halfway through the movie. So a baby hat is not enough for a movie, but it was still a lot of fun to knit. The yarn that I'm using is leftover Langsund yarn by Donna Smith, or Donna Smith Design, in the shade Light Stain. It is a very nice plump DK weight yarn made of Shetland wool. I bought this from Donna Smith's shop directly in Shetland in like a year and a half ago, I think in 2023 when I went to Wool Week. I made myself a cowl with it, and then I had some left over, and that was great for a tiny baby hat. And it is Shetland wool, it is rustic, but it is very soft, or I find it very soft anyway. And I think it's soft enough for a baby. And it's really, really warm. So yeah, I do need to block it. I really like the decreases. I think it's quite fun. Again, I feel like, I don't know if the size is right. I feel like if anything, maybe it's a bit too big, but that's fine because then, the baby will grow into it. I wonder if it's a bit too deep, but I think my gauge is all right. So I'll just go with it and trust the pattern. I guess like babies are proportioned differently from adults. So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I'm going to give it a wash. It's going to soften it even more. And yeah, so I don't have anything else to say. Maybe that would be of interest. I used 26 grams for that. So yeah, of DK yarn. And yeah, that's all there is to say. If it does fit, because it was such a nice quick project, if it does fit well, then I will definitely make more, and even make more of the larger sizes if my friend and my sister or anybody that has babies wants them. So I'll be happy to do that, and it's a great way to use scrap yarn. That leads me very nicely into the first of my whip, because that is also a baby knit that is going to the same friend for the same baby. So I've got 4 whips. I had 4 finished objects, and now I have 4 whips, which is more than I usually do. I like to have a large whip and a small whip usually, but I don't know, I just got excited and started casting on all the things. And yeah, so it means that I'm moving a bit slower on each project, but it's okay. It's my knitting, and I'm enjoying it, so I'm happy. So my first finished object, not finished object, oh my goodness. My first work in progress is another baby knit for my friend who's having her baby very, very soon. And I had asked on Instagram for people's recommendations of baby patterns that are great as gifts, and that are also practical and useful, because some baby knits are really cute and really fun to make, but I don't know to what extent they're actually useful in like day-to-day life for the parents and for the baby. Especially in my case, like my friend is not a knitter, so I feel like when you're a knitter, you approach like woolen items differently. So yeah, I just wanted something nice, but something that was also useful, hopefully. And so many of you recommended the Selma sleep suit by Petite. So it was already top of my list, and so I'm very glad that you confirmed that my instincts were right. And so this is what I decided to go with. And this is what it looks like. It's so cute. It's so tiny. So yeah, that's the Selma sleep suit by Petite. I am making the 0 to 3 month size. I think my gauge is slightly off, so it's probably going to be a little bit bigger, which again is fine for a baby because he will grow into it. I had to go down in needle sizes because of the yarn that I'm using, and I'll just get back to the yarn in a minute, but my yarn is slightly thicker or a bit more plump than what the pattern uses. I think the pattern uses Camerose Snefnug or something, which I can find in the UK, but I wanted to go for something more domestic in a way, so I went with Shetland wool, and I will talk more about the yarn in a second. What is very nice with this pattern is that you start, so there's a square, which I don't know if you can see. There you go. You start with the square on top of the hood, and then you pick up stitches to do the rest of the hood. And what's really nice is that you can use that square as your gauge swatch. So you just knit it, block it, and then if it works, then you keep going. And if it doesn't work, you can just redo a small square, but you don't need to do an extra swatch. So that's really nice. my yarn. Okay, so I'm just looking at my notes. I have my computer to the side. I hope you don't mind me looking away every now and then. So the yarn that I used, I wanted something Scottish. My friend is Scottish. And I wanted some like nice Scottish wool. And so obviously I thought about Shetland wool, and I looked at the Jamiesons. So Jamiesons and Smiths, Jamieson and Smith and Jamiesons of Shetland. It is like a heavy DK Aran weight yarn. So I went with Jamiesons of Shetland because they do have that weight of yarn. And so I got, here's the, can I get you a label? So I got the Shetland Heather Aran by Jamiesons of Shetland. I always, whenever I start a new ball, I always weigh it because sometimes you have, those are 50 gram balls, but as you can see, this one had actually 54 grams. And then that tells me, then I can do the math and see actually how much yarn I use at the end and all that. So yeah, so this is Shetland Heather, 100% pure Shetland wool, grown and spun on the Shetland Isles of Scotland, 50 grams per ball, 92 meters. And that was the thing, is that the Snefnug, I think, is 110 meters. And that is causing me to slightly run out of yarn because I thought, so I think for the newborn or like the 0 to 3 month size, I needed 300 grams of yarn. And my thinking was like, oh yes, 92 meters per 50 gram is pretty much the same as 110 meters per 50 grams of the Snefnug. So I'm just going to order 300 grams. But obviously on a thick yarn like an Aran weight and on such a small project, those like 20 meters or so per ball do make a difference. So the 300 grams that I ordered are not enough. Luckily, I was able to I ordered a bit more, and they ship really quickly, and hopefully I will get the same dye lot. I asked for that and they said they're going to do their best, and so it should be fine. But yeah, like if you're going to do an adult size garment in fingering weight or DK and your yarn is maybe like has maybe 20 meters less per 100 grams than that of the pattern, it's not a big deal. But for something like this in a thicker yarn and such a small size, it is a big deal. So lesson learned. And the colorway is 1350 North Sea. And it is this beautiful, beautiful blue. So I'm not doing blue specifically because she's having a boy. Like neither of us are really into that, like blue for boys and pink for girls. But I chose this blue because honestly, I have the shade cards of that yarn, and this was one of my absolute favorite colors. So yeah, it is Shetland wool, so it is rustic, but it is very soft. And because it is outer wear, like the baby would wear that on top of his clothes, then I'm not as concerned about it being like maybe a bit more rustic, because I would rather it be really warm, because that's kind of the whole point of it. So yes. So this is where I'm at right now. So you start at the hood, you knit the hood down, then you do some raglans for the arms, and then you just keep knitting down. I've just finished the body, so now I need to, I think I need to bind off a few stitches like together to join the button bands at the bottom, and then I'm going to do the 2 legs and then the 2 arms and sew in the buttons. And yeah, it is very squishy because it's an Aran weight on 3.5 millimeter needles. It is very, very squishy, and I love it. It's beautiful. I really love it. I really hope that it will be useful, but I think it will be. And yeah, I'm very, very pleased with the hood. Like I said, you do a square and then you pick up stitches. So you do a square at the top and then you pick up stitches around like this. And so you have to be mindful of how you pick your stitches at the edge here, but I'm so pleased with it because it's so neat. I don't know if you can see. But yeah, it's super neat. So I'm super pleased with that. And yes, what else? Oh, one last thing is the buttonholes. So the buttonholes here, you've got 5, And they are knit using, just doing a yarn over. And I was a bit concerned that that would make them really small and then it would be difficult to fit buttons in properly. So I just made sure to do that yarn over really loosely, and I think it's fine. I think that's a good size. I have some buttons in mind that I have in my stash that I will try out, but if not, I'll just go buy other buttons. So yeah, I think this will be done and gifted by the next time I record. So if I remember to do it, I might just pre-record a little segment when I'm done with this and ready to gift it, and then I'll just insert it into the next episode. But I'm very pleased with it. Have you knitted this before? Have you gifted it? Have you used it for your baby? How did that go? Let me know. I might make another one for my other friend who's pregnant, although she's due in the summer. So I think that would be, even for Scotland, that would be a bit too warm for summer, but I might make it then the next size up, maybe like a 3 to 6 month or even 6 to 12 month. So she could have that for autumn, winter. Again, I'm having a lot of fun knitting this, and I think it could be a very useful item. So if it is, I might do one for my sister as well, but my sister lives in the south of France and her baby's due in August, so it's going to be really hot. So I'm not going to knit anything for her that will be newborn size. I just won't. And even in winter, it's not that cold, so I'm afraid that something like this would definitely be way too hot for France, even in winter. I could do it in another yarn, a bit of a lighter yarn, but I'll see. I think maybe I'll just knit other kinds of items, and definitely would knit for a 6 month or 3 to 6 month size, I think. And yeah, we'll see how we get on, because I guess I can use my dad as a bit of a guinea pig in that regard, because he's already crocheted a lot of little garments for the baby. Some of them are acrylic, some of them are wool blend. So, and he's done them, I think, in mostly a newborn size. So it'll be nice to see how my sister uses what my dad has made her, and what's too warm, what's not too warm, and then just go from there. And obviously, she can just tell me what she wants, and I will knit that. So, yeah. But yeah. Anyway, that's the Selma sleepsuit. It's a really fun pattern to knit, and I hope it's nice to use and wear. But I'm having a lot of fun knitting it, and I absolutely love this yarn. I've ordered an extra 100 grams of the yarn, which I think, let me just put this back in the bag, which I think is maybe overkill. I think I maybe need another 25 grams or so, but I just wanted to be on the safe side. And because I like this yarn so much, I could definitely see myself make a little pair of mittens for me, like figureless mitts or something, in this yarn, because it's just so squishy, and I absolutely love the color. And yeah, so I will see. My idea right now is that I recently got into watercolor. I started learning watercolor, and I'm having a lot of fun. And I want to learn to knit, not to knit, oh my goodness. Do you see the obsession? Everything has to be knitting. I can see myself going ahead and going forward, knitting outside. But in winter, a really nice warm pair of fingerless mittens in a really nice wool like that could be a great addition to my painting kit. So yeah, very excited about that. I just really love this wool. It's actually, and it's also not that expensive. I think about £6 for 50 gram, for a ball of 50 grams. So it's really not that bad, and they have so many beautiful colors. It's definitely something that I would definitely use to make a garment for myself. So yeah, I've been going on and on. Can you tell that I love this wool? I've been going on and on and on about it. But anyway, that is it for the Selma sleepsuit, and I will keep you posted on how it goes. And yeah, I will let you know in the next episode how my friend is getting on with it and using it, or if she's not, which is absolutely fine. I have fun knitting it, and if she ends up not using it, it's absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, my next two projects are garments, and they are both for me. One is a cardigan and one is a sweater. I'm going to start with the cardigan, and it is the Evina Cardigan by Heidi Peterson. I have it in one of my favorite project bags. These bags are by Harriet of Wildwood Stitches, and I absolutely love them. I had the baby suit in the medium size, which is starting to burst a bit, but it's fine. And then I also have a small sock size, and this one is the large size, and they're my absolute favorite. They're pretty much the only bags I use. But anyway, so the Evina Cardigan by Heidi Peterson that I am currently knitting, I am knitting the size medium. I will say it is not the most size inclusive pattern. It does have a lot of positive ease, so there is a bit of wiggle room in that regard, but still it's not the most size inclusive pattern, so I'm just putting this out there. It was a pattern that I've been wanting to knit for a while. I bought yarn for it last autumn when I went down to Oxford, and one of you very kindly gifted me the pattern through Ravelry. That was completely unexpected, and I am very grateful, so thank you so much for gifting me the pattern. And as you can see from the picture that I will have put on the screen, it is a cardigan, but the sort of lower body section, or like the body part after the underarms, is crocheted. And that's where you start. The construction is bottom up. You start with your large panel of crochet, which is made of granny squares, and then you do the ribbing, the hem of the body, and then everything else you knit bottom up from there. So I have done the crochet bit and the hem, and the next step for me to do is the sleeves. I need to do the sleeves so that I can join everything and do the raglan towards the neckline and then the button band. But I'm going to show you what it is, and then I'll tell you about the yarn. This is what it looks like. So this is half a body. I don't know if I can. It looks like that. Yes, there's a lot of ends. But yeah, so this is the panel that I have. The color looks a little bit warmer on my screen right now, but that could just be my screen. It is a nice pale green. And so yeah, so you start, like, you make those granny squares. I think for my size, I had to make 16. It's really quick. They're really quick to crochet, and they're really easy because I hadn't crocheted in a long time before I started working on this project, and I also had never done granny squares. But I just followed the written instructions in the pattern, and that worked really well. So that was really easy to follow. Because I'm not that familiar with crochet, I don't know if the pattern is using like American or British terms, but anyway, you can just look at, like, she explains what the stitches are and everything. So it's very easy. And yeah, so the reason, so you do all the squares, and then you seam them together using mattress stitch. That was a first for me. I had never used mattress stitch before. I guess I just never worked on a pattern that called for it. So that was a new technique to me. It was really easy. It was really fun. So yeah, very happy with that. Don't have much to say about this. And then, you seam them all together. I blocked them beforehand so I could really make sure that they were all the same size, which I think was the right move. And I will block it again once I block the whole jumper. But I think it was good to block each of my squares before joining them. And then I picked up stitches, did the ribbing, and my next step is, like I said, the sleeves. For the yarn that I'm using, so the pattern calls for 1 strand of fingering weight yarn and 2 strands of mohair, and this is what I'm doing. For fingering weight yarn, I am using woolly knit 100% British wool from a cone that I've had for quite a long time, and this is in the shade dark apple green or something like that. It has apple in the name and green. It is very, very nice. I like this wool. I've used it a lot. I've used it in what I'm wearing now. I've got loads of jumpers in that wool, and it's just great. I just had this green. I loved it when I bought it, and then it's been sitting on my shelf for at least a couple of years because I just couldn't figure out what to make in that green. And then the mohair that I'm using is 2 strands of the Ease Air silk mohair. in the shade, they've got numbers. So in the color 57, I bought this at the Oxford yarn store last year when I went, and I was really hoping that, because they're quite a different color, the fingering and the mohair are quite different colors, I was mildly concerned that they wouldn't go together so well, but they really do go together very well. I'm very pleased with the result. Again, I feel like my screen is a bit maybe warmer than it is in terms of, like, in real life, it's a bit cooler, but yeah, it just goes really, really well. So yeah, so next step is maybe I'm gonna have a little end weaving party. Gonna get a cup of tea, listen to a nice podcast, and weave the ends that are at the bottom. Because basically what happens is that you have 2 ends for each square, for each garden square when you crochet them. And then you have 2 ends when you seam them together vertically. And then you have, so for each vertical line, you've got 2 ends, and there's quite a few vertical lines. And then you have that one big horizontal line where you have 1 end at each. So yeah, that's a lot of ends, but I don't really mind. I know it's not the most fun thing to do, but I don't really mind. Just, like, put on a podcast episode, have a cup of tea, and just sit down and weave in some ends. I'm not going to do it all at the same time, but I could have. So I decided when I was doing the granny squares to weave in the end at the center as soon as I finished my granny square, but to leave the one at the outer edge, the one that you end on, because I didn't want to weave it in, because I just wanted to make sure that my stitches were nice and clear for when I went to do the mattress stitch. And also I am, I feel more secure weaving in my ends into a bit of knitting than I do weaving them into a bit of crochet. Because of the way crochet stitches are, I'm always afraid that it's going to come out. So I thought I would just leave those ends out and weave them into the knitting bit that is attached to them, because there's also knitting in that pattern, obviously. And so, which is why when I assembled the squares, I made sure that all my ends were either at the bottom or at the top. So here I'm going to weave them into the ribbing at the bottom. And then I have one in the middle here, which I'm not really sure why. But it's just a one. I think I ran out. I think I didn't put enough yarn when I was doing that long stretch of mattress stitch, but it's fine. It's just one. And then the ones at the top, I will weave into like the knitted rest of the body. It is a bit of a loose gauge, so it could turn out to be a bit too visible. And in that case, then I might try and just weave them into the crochet bit, but I just wanted to give myself that option, so that's why I didn't weave them in. But yeah, it's fine. It's not, again, it's not the most fun job, but it's fine. And I really love it. It's so, so soft. I really love the color. I could definitely, that's definitely a spring, summer color to me. Living in Scotland, I might wear like a 2-strand mohair wool jumper cardigan in the summer, in the evenings when it gets too cold. But otherwise I'll definitely wear it in the spring. I'll definitely wear it in the winter. It will get a lot of wear, and I'm very excited to have it finished. Now, after weaving those ends that I was just telling you about, I'm going to get started on the sleeves, and I need to do a bit of math for that because, like I said, it's bottom-up construction, so you have to do the sleeves from the cuff up to where you would join them with the rest of the body at the underarm, and then you do your raglan section, like going up towards the neck. My issue is that my arms are, I guess, shorter in terms of standard ratios, and so I often have to shorten the length of my sleeves for most pattern. But going bottom up, it's a bit harder to gauge length, I guess, or it's harder to gauge, and also you can't sort of come back afterwards. So I'm gonna look at my swatch again. I was on gauge, so I'm gonna hope that if I was engaged on the swatch, I will still be engaged on the actual cardigan. And then based on the amount of rows that I have to knit from when I join the sleeves all the way up, I will do the math to figure out how long that section is going to be, and then how long the rest of my sleeve needs to be. And then I will adjust that accordingly. The pattern gives you a length, a specific length, and so I will just make the adjustments that I need. There are some increases in the sleeve as well, so I might have to take that into consideration. What I'm considering doing maybe is doing a provisional cast on and starting straight from the sleeves, not the cuff, and then just knit the sleeves as it's supposed to be. I think you should still knit like 3 or 4 centimeters before you do the first increase. So I might just do this and then come back, and once I've finished the rest of the cardigan, and then come back and see where I'm at in the sleeve, and if it's the right length, then I will do the cuffs. But if it's too long or too short, then I still have this like section of plain knitting before the increase that I can play around with. So I can remove a few rows if needed, or I can just add a few rows if needed. So maybe I will do that. It's a bit of a faff to then like remove your provisional cast on and do the ribbing and everything, but I think it's worth it to have something that fits nicely. So I think actually, now that I think of it, I think maybe I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do provisional cast on, go with what the pattern says, continue knitting on the cardigan, do my button band and like neck collar thingy, like it's a whole piece of double knitting, and I'm going to do that because it's going to bring it in a bit, and then I will finish the sleeves. I will take out the provisional cast on and assess if I need to remove length, add length, and then do the cuff, and then finish in an Italian bind off, which is nicer than doing an Italian cast on in my opinion. So yeah, I'm rambling a bit here, but I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. One last thing before I move on to the next project is that it is a cardigan, so it is knit flat, except for the sleeves obviously, but the body is, like the yoke is knit flat, and it's knit in stockinette, and I'm rowing out. My purl tension is not the same as my knit tension, so what I did on the swatch is that I knit on a 5mm needle, which is what the pattern calls for and what allows me to get gauge, but I purl on 4mm to, again, get gauge, but not get any rowing out. So it's been working well for me. I've had to do this a few times lately for things that I've been knitting flat, and yeah, maybe it's a lot to have to go down a full needle size in between my knits and my purls, but that's what works for me. So yeah, just a little tip. I mean, I'm not inventing anything, or it's not anything like revolutionary, but yeah, you don't have to knit with your 2 needles being the same size all the time. So yes. Right, it's going to be a long episode, guys, but I'm going to move on to my third and second to last. Is that? I'm just having I don't remember how you say that, but yeah, my third finished object, my third work in progress, and I have another one after that, which is also a garment. A garment for me, and I realize I'm stopped at a really silly place, but we're going to make it work. Yeah, we're going to make it work. It is the Dagmar Zipper Sweater by Petite Knit. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So I've got the back. I can show you the back nicely. And then the front, but I'm all working on the same needle. So this is one front. And I've done it all the way to where I need to join with the other front. And then this is the other front, and I'm not there yet. And I wish I'd done one more row so I could have had my needles like in a way that I can show it better, but yeah, sorry, you know how this works. So yeah, so like I said, let me tell you all about it. So it is the Dagmar Zipper Sweater by Petite Knit. I really loved the Dagmar jacket when she came out with it, and thought I would knit it eventually, but then the zipper sweater came out and I just completely fell in love. So yeah, I'm very excited to be knitting on this. I'm enjoying it a ton. This is a body knit that I am doing with McLochlainn of Stitches in STEM. She's got a wonderful podcast, which I very much encourage you to go and check out. And so we're knitting this together. She's using the yarn recommended in the pattern in like a really dark charcoal, almost a black color, and it looks amazing. And it's been really fun to have someone to chat with while working on this project. I'm knitting the size small, which is my size for Petite knit patterns. The pattern is not difficult at all. It is a basic drop shoulder construction, but because it is cabled, you have to pay attention. You really have to pay attention. You have to read charts, especially at the start. So you start with this sort of like trapezoid, I don't know how you say that word, shape for the back. And so you have all those increases. What am I showing you? All those increases down here. And so you have to really pay attention because you have your cables to keep track of. You have your sort of like filling stitches, so your like seed stitches here that you have on the side to keep track of. And then you have all your increases to keep track of. So it is quite, it's not, again, not difficult, but quite engaged at the start. And then once you're done with the increases and you've become a bit more familiar with the cable, then it's easier to just read your knitting and keep going. But yeah, it's not, again, not hard, but it's not a mindless project either. So you have to just pay attention. I am knitting it on 4mm needles, which I think is a size down from what Petite Knit uses. My yarn is slightly thinner, which is not a problem. My gauge is okay. So, or like my swatch was okay. So we'll see how that turns out. But yeah. Well, my stitch gauge is good. My row gauge isn't great, but it will work out with blocking and all that, so it'll be fine. The pattern has a ton of positive ease. I think for my size, it's got 26 centimeters, so there's definitely a bit of wiggle room. If it turns out a bit smaller than that, it will be just fine and it will fit just fine. I toyed with the idea of going for the extra small size to have a bit less positive ease, but in the end, what I see with this sweater is for me to have like a really nice, big, warm, cozy sweater to wear at home. And so having all that positive ease is actually quite nice. So I just went with my normal size. The yarn that I am using, I was looking for my project bag and it is on my knees, on my lap. So the yarn that I'm using is Studio Donegal Soft Donegal yarn. And it is so beautiful. So it is a heavily tweeded or like tweedy merino from Ireland. 100% merino wool, spun by Donegal Yarns, Kilcar, County Donegal, Ireland. And yes, so I originally bought 6 of these skeins a while ago, a couple of years ago at least, for another project, which I in the end decided not doing. But I thought it would be really great for this project. However, I need 9. So I was able to find another 3 skeins from a shop in the UK. Obviously, because it's been a few years, it is a different dye lot, but I don't really see a difference. It's the grey one, it's undyed. I think maybe for their more colored one, it would be different, or like the dyed one, it would be different. But in this case, I don't see much of a difference. However, I'm gonna save the like newer one for the ribbings and the collar. And then if I need to use more of it, then I'll just fade it out over a few rows and it'll be fine. I'm not concerned at all. I think also because of the nature of the pattern, like the yarn is very busy because it's like very tweedy. And then the pattern is also very busy because of all the cables. So like it wouldn't really show, like I can get away with quite a bit, I think. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on that. One modification that I am making on this pattern is that in the pattern, the middle, like the inside bit of the diamond is purl stitch, just like here. And I've decided to do seed stitch like I did on my book club cardigan. It was in the pattern because I think it just looks nicer. I was a bit concerned that because of how tweedy the yarn is, it wouldn't show, or like you couldn't really see the difference between the pearl side and like the pearl bits and the seed stitch in the middle, but I think you can actually tell, which is really nice. And so I'm really enjoying this. A few other notes on the pattern. So the pattern at some point, it feels like a couple of times Petite is using seed stitch and moth stitch interchangeably, but that's fine because they're basically the same stitch, but just FYI if you are knitting this. Another thing is, like I was saying earlier, the increases. So you have this seam at the back and then your increases when you do the back are just below it. And that was a bit of a complicated part because there's a ton of increases. There make one right and make one left increases, but there make one right knit, make one right purl, and then on the right side and on the wrong side. So I feel like in the end you have about 8 different versions of increases that you have to keep track of. And I did it, but I'm kind of wondering if it's really necessary. I think it's there to make sure that the increased stitch blends in smoothly with whatever comes next. So if it's a purl stitch or a knit stitch afterwards, in the row below or the row after. But I don't know that it's that necessary because first of all, like you're knitting them right into, like right next to that seam, so they get kind of like blended into it. And also increased stitches, like make one stitches, are just a bit weird looking anyway. So yeah, I think you would probably be fine if you don't want to bother with all the increases, like all the different increases. I think you will be just fine with your make one right and left, knit on the right side, purl on the wrong side, and yeah, I think you'll be just fine. If that's something that's preventing you, if that's the one bit that's preventing you from casting on this sweater, I think you can get away with not doing the increases that way and you'll be just fine. Another thing that I'm a bit confused about, and I was chatting with Michaela about that, and she's kind of the same, is that in the pattern, like the back piece here and the front piece here are supposed to be the same length, which for a drop shoulder construction, usually the shoulder seam sits like a bit on your back, kind of like that, like it doesn't come straight here, it sits a bit further back. So the fronts are should be a bit longer. So I don't really know. The other thing is that you are obviously, before you join under the arm and start knitting in under the arms and start knitting in the round, you need for your front and your back to have ended on the same row so you can pick them up and just knit the same row. And the thing is that if I end on the same row, I don't have the right length. My front would be a couple centimeters longer than my back. And I think I'm happy with that. I'm just going to go with that. I don't really mind, but it's something that I found a bit strange. So I'm not questioning Petite Knit, like she knows what she's doing. But yeah, I don't know. It was a bit, I don't know, question mark. It, brought some things and I'm like, I don't understand here, but yeah. So next steps is finishing the second front so I can join the two fronts. Then I will have to knit just a little bit on the fronts together before I can join in the round. I'm gonna knit a little bit in the round, but then I would like to do the collar and I would like to do the sleeves. As much as in something like that, I would rather end on the sleeves so that my last bit of knitting is just like small circumference, like small bind off, Italian bind off on the cuffs and done. I think in something that is so oversized and all of that, it would make a lot more sense if I have my collar in place, if I have my sleeves in place to see how they affect the body and how it hangs and how long it is, and then finish the body to have it at the right length, and then do this really big Italian bind off at the end of the hem last. But that's okay, I don't mind. And yeah, I really like this yarn. It's really soft. It blocks nicely because it doesn't move with blocking. Obviously, it's going to move a bit because of the cables. They're going to stretch out a bit, but yeah, overall, it's really, really nice. And I'm having a lot of fun knitting on this. Again, it's not complicated, especially once you're done with the increases. It's not mindless, obviously, because it is a cabled sweater, but it is not difficult, and you can read your knitting quite a lot. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to move on now to my fourth and last work in progress, which I think I had shown a little bit the last time, and that is my Hiedra headband. I think I just cast it on, and so I knit a little bit on it, and honestly I don't really have I do have an excuse, but it should be done by now because it's been on my needles for 2 months now, but there's no reason for it to be on my needles that long, but I've just been working on other things because it knits up really quickly. And yeah, so this is a pattern by Fiber Tales. I have done one before. I'm just going to show it to you because I have it in my project bag just to compare length. And I am knitting it in Kinross 4-ply in the shade Scott Pine. It's such a beautiful blue. I love it. It's so, so beautiful. I'm holding it double because this is fingering weight and I think the pattern calls for DK. And yeah, I just need to pick it up and finish it. It's really, really quick. And I would like to make the mittens that go with it. I don't have the mittens that go with the grey, but I would like to make the mittens that go with that as well. I also really like, so you have columns here of knit stitches, but then when you're done, you actually unravel it. It's like one of Fiber Tales' sort of signature detail. You unravel it and then you re-crochet it up like a braid, which I think is really nice. And in a project like that, it's also nice because it's not as stretchy as everything else. And so it will give your headband some structure and it will prevent it from like stretching out with wear or like from stretching out too much. So yeah, I just love this color so much. I think it's so beautiful. It goes nicely with my hair too. But yeah, so that's all I have to say about it. I need to finish it. So we will see when that happens. Obviously, it might linger a bit now because I don't really have a use for headbands for the next few months probably because it's getting a bit too warm. So yeah, but I'll show you when I'm done with it. All right, and that is all my knitting. All right, the next couple of bits that I want to talk to you about is my acquisitions and the books that I've been reading, which should go a bit faster than before. I'm going to start with my acquisitions. So I have 4. 2 of them are gifts. In between the last episode and now I've had my birthday and I have been gifted some yarn. So I'm going to show you the gift ones and then I'm going to show you the ones that I actually bought. So the gift ones are this. I have them in a box. So one, it's 2 different kinds. One is kind of like a sweaterish quantity of Ulysse by Rerum Natura in the shade Tempête, which means like storm. It is a beautiful blue, and I made a wish list so people knew if they were buying me yarn, they knew like what yarn and how much to buy. And I have enough to make an Elizabeth blouse by Petite, which is what I wanted this yarn for. So I'm very excited about that. I might probably knit that over the summer at some point. So looking forward to that. And then the other one, because I was celebrating my birthday with my family and friends, I looked at French yarns that maybe I can't find here. And so I had asked for 3 balls of this wool called Laines du Valgaudemar in the base Sable. They have a bunch of different bases in that lovely red color, which is, I don't remember the name. Oh, Tango is the colorway name. And this is lovely. It is 70% French Merino and then 30% French Angora, so like Angora bunnies, not Angora goats. and it's 150 meters per 50 grams, and it's so soft and so beautiful. I have 3 balls, and my goal with this is to make like a fingerless mitts and a headband kind of set. Yeah, that's the plan. The mittens are probably going to be penny gloves because I like them and they fit really well. And the headband, I don't know, I would like something quite simple. So either like a double knit headband or like a stockinette kind of look. So we'll see. One other acquisition, this one I bought, and it's a bit random. Oh, I have fluff in my nose. Is I've been talking in the past about how I struggle with on my socks with my heel turn, with rowing out a lot, and how I could improve that by going down in needle sizes. For the pearl side, the thing is I knit my socks on 2.25 millimeters, and it's hard to find like needles that are smaller than that. But one of you recommended to me to have a look at Knit Pro because apparently they do really thin DPNs, and I was able to find them in the UK and it was brilliant. So I bought a set of Knit Pro DPN in a 1.5 millimeters, and it's really, really thin, but they're also very, I don't know what they're, carbon I think they're made of, but they're very, like they're not yielding or anything. So I haven't tried them because I haven't had a pair of socks on my needles for a little bit, or since I ordered them anyway, but I'm looking forward to trying that. So thank you so much to the person who shared that information with me. Brilliant. And then the last 2 bits of acquisitions is stuff that I bought myself. So one is Knitting for Olive merino and matching soft silk mohair in the black, which is called Licorice. So basically when I went to France, I also gifted my mom a pair of penny gloves in Knitting for Olive yarn, this combination, but in deep petroleum blue. And she absolutely loved them. Like she really, really loved them. And she asked if I could make a black pair. So I ordered the yarn, and I'm going to make a black pair. I'm very pleased to do that. Very happy to do that. And then I also saw my brother when I was in France, and my brother basically channels Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Like that's sort of his vibe. He's got long hair, long beard, and he has this really nice kind of like cloak that he likes to wear that's made out of wool. I think it's got some like Celtic embroidery on it. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It suits him so well. And he's asked if I could knit him a pair of fingerless mittens that he's seen online. And it just so happened that what he had seen was actually like a Ravelry page for a pattern. So that was brilliant. And so I said, of course, I would knit him that. So the pattern is called, let me see, it's called Wizard Warmers on Ravelry. I don't remember the name of the designer. I'll just link it down below. Sorry, that was my phone. Let me turn that off. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I will link everything down below. And for the yarn, we decided to go with Jamieson and Jamieson's of Shetland. I think it's knit in a DK or worsted, so I'm going to hold it double. And he chose this brown color, which is called leather 868. So yeah, this is part of the plans. I'm not planning to go to France until August at this point. So this is sort of my deadline for those projects. And yeah, so I'll just knit them. I mean, they're not going to need them right now because it's getting really warm in France as well. So I'm just going to knit them until and have them done by the next time I go to France. And then I don't think I'm going to see my brother when I go to France, but I can ship the mittens to him. And then if I see my mom, I will give it to her. And if not, I'll just ship them to her as well. So yes. So that was the last of my acquisitions. And last but not least, I will talk about the books that I have been reading lately. You guys really love that segment of the podcast, so I'm going to do that. If you're still here, thank you, because I'm getting tired and my voice is getting tired, but that shouldn't take too long. So what have I been reading? So I have been reading mainly this book called Close Knit by Jenny Colgan. It is not a cozy murder mystery, but it is not really, it's kind of like a romance, but a very light romance. It says at the top, the feel-good phenomenon. I don't know about phenomenon, but it is definitely that kind of like feel-good kind of story. It is set in a small village in the north of Scotland, and it involves like a nice small community and some knitting, and it is really lovely, like a really lovely, definitely feel-good book. I would recommend it. And then when I finished this, I only had like about 10 days or so until a book that I have been waiting for comes out. And so I didn't really want to start another large book because I wasn't sure I would be finished in time for the release date. So what I have been reading in the meantime is this. This is part of a set. It's called of Agatha Christie short stories. And this one is called Sinister Spring, but then the other three are for summer, autumn, and winter. And it is short stories by Agatha Christie. So it has like all her main detectives and all of that. And so that was great because I could just read however much I read. It's a short story and then just stop and go back to it later. So I really loved the cover. I got it as a box set last year from a bookshop in New York called Criminally Good Books, and they only do like thrillers and murder mysteries and cozy murder mysteries. And yeah, it's been really fun. So I will stop now because the other book just came out today, and then I will resume afterwards to finish this one book. And then the book that I'm starting to read today and that I'm so excited about is the final book in the Dale's Detective series. I can show it to you on my e-reader. It's called Date with Destiny by Julia Chapman. I absolutely love this series. It's one of my favorite cozy murder mystery series. It's set in the Yorkshire Dales, and it's like the pair of detectives, like a man and a woman, and the man is like a former detective for the London police or the Metropolitan Police or something, or Scotland Yard or whatever, like a big thing in London, but he has to go back to his village in the Yorkshire Dales because of some issues that he's having, and he sets up a detective agency, and then the female character has a dating agency, but she's sort of drawn into the investigations. And so over the last 9 books, we've sort of followed all the mysteries that they've solved and then followed their relationship, and now the last one is out, and that's the final one. She's not writing any more books in this series afterwards, and I think it's a good thing. Like 10 books is nice, and the relationships are like good now and all of that. So yeah, I'm really excited to read that. So this is what I'm going to start reading tonight and probably be done in like a couple of days, because that's how addictive those books are. Like you really can't put them down. So yeah. Anyway, this is all I have to say today. This is a long episode. I've said it a million times, but it is a long episode. Thank you so much if you're still here. If you're gone, you're not going to see that, but also totally understand. And I will see you next time in my next episode. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to be, but maybe like in a month or a month and a half or something like that. If you are going to the Really Good Gathering, please come and say hello if you see me. And if you want to, obviously, like don't, I'm not forcing you to come and say hello to me, but if you see me and want to say hello and want to come to say hello, please do. And and if you are interested in any stitch markers, or if you want to get any updates regarding my shop, then just sign up to the newsletter. I think it's the best way that way I can just send the information to you and you don't have to worry about keeping track of things on YouTube or on Instagram and all of that. So yes, once again, thank you so much for watching. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.